Hello, Leopard Kindergarten and first grade artist. Now that we've traveled to India with Felix, it's time to begin our Indian weavings. Most native cultures have weaving in their background and history, as weaving is the method one would use to create things that people needed all over the world. Natives in the United States, natives of any culture on any continent or subcontinent would weave to create clothing, carpets, and blankets, things people needed to survive. So we are going to begin our weaving adventures with paper weaving, which is a great starting point for future weaving projects with me in this art room. Whether you're 100% virtual or face-to-face with me, all kindergarten and first grade are going to be attempting paper weaving. Now in the art room, we're going to use the colors of the Indian flag from the country of India, just to keep India in mind as we are working, since that's where our Felix has traveled. If you're at home, of course, use whatever you have. I highly suggest starting with papers that are the same size. If you chop your paper to fit, it will help so much if you're starting with papers that are the same size. And while that may not make a whole lot of sense right now, you'll see what I mean when I get my artwork started. So forgive the little camera earthquake look as I turn the camera to the desktop so that you can see. And I'm going to get over to the other side of the table so I can sit down and begin. I do want to do a fast camera check, make sure that we are within range of you being able to see well. And I'm going to do some adjustments. So I have a white paper, one of the colors of the flag of India, and I have some pre-cut weaving strips featuring the other two colors of the flag of India. So to get started, we need a loom or a weaving mat. A loom is that which one weaves on. So looms might be made of paper, wood, plastic. They can be big, like table size, or bigger. They can be small. They can be middle size, like this one that I'm about to create. To create a weaving mat or paper loom, you need to fold your paper in half like a book or a very fat taco. You want to make sure that you're giving extra attention to the side with two flaps. Don't use the folded side. With a straight edge, that can be the edge of a notebook, the edge of a sketchbook, or a ruler is even better. You're going to put this at the top where the two flaps are. I just make it even with the top so that this line is a ruler width. You may need a grown-up or a big brother or sister to help you because sometimes rulers like to slip, slide, and travel. After you've made this line, you're going to write your name and then the word stop. So I am still Mrs. Billman. And then I'm going to write the word stop, and I'm going to make it in all capital letters because this is my stop line when it comes to cutting. Your next move is going to be starting at the fold and making cuts up to your stop line. You're going to make as many cuts as your age. I recommend drawing them first so that you get a pretty even weaving mat. I, of course, am not going to draw 49 strips since I'm 49 years old. I'm going to pretend I'm a first grader. Lots of first graders are 6 or 7, so I'm going to draw 6. I'm going to start in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By starting in the middle, I could tell how much distance I needed on either side of that first mark. My next move is to cut on my lines, starting at the fold. Make sure you've got extra paper handy. This is easy to mess up. It's easy to draw your stop line on the wrong end. It's easy to cut too far over the stop line. But if you follow the directions, you should end up with a very nice weaving mat that you made. Now I'm gonna unfold my weaving mat, and all these pencil lines and the word stop are gonna end up on the back. And now I have a very nice weaving mat. I'm gonna move my straight edge out of my way. And I have these pre-cut pieces of paper, but I wanna show you they're the same size as my white weaving mat. So I just took another piece of paper that's the same size, and I cut it into 1-inch strips, but the size of the strips is really up to you. Here's a tip. If you become a great weaver, skinnier strips are better because you have an expert ability and it's easier for you to manipulate those. If you're not a great weaver yet, keep them kind of fat like this so that your weaving gets completed in a time frame that's appropriate for you and your new skill level. To begin weaving, you may start by going over or under your first strip. The point is you will do the opposite on the next row. So my first row, I'm gonna go under my first strip. That means I go over his neighbor, under, over, under, over, under. And then I'm gonna slide this guy down. He's in place, he looks great. And now it's time to start in the opposite way. I went under this row for this green strip, so now I'm gonna go over this one. You must do the next row in the opposite way of the last so that you end up with what looks like a checkerboard pattern. You'll get very good at this very fast because my artists are very smart. And you'll start to notice that if you weave correctly, one row holds the other row in place. And you'll have this checkerboard look that you can do in any way you prefer. If you prefer a green and then an orange and a green, that's fine. It's up to you. You will have plenty of strips of green and orange of different sizes in the art room. I'm gonna continue with my green then orange, and I'm gonna work until I reach the top with my weaving. Once my weaving mat is complete, I am going to make sure that I've moved any rows that got woggly and wonky and tried to slip and slide a direction I didn't need them to. Like this orange one's peeking out a little too much over here. I'm gonna tap him back into place. I'm gonna make sure these are tightly together so I can fit more weaving onto my mat. And then when I've made sure it looks super great, I'm gonna submit a photograph to Canvas so that Mrs. Billman can grade it. If you are here on site at Lantern Road, I'm gonna give you the option for your weaving mat to be laminated. That means it has a plastic coating on it, and then you will be able to use your weaving as a placemat. And the reason we're making it useful in that way is because almost all weaving was done to be useful, and then it was sort of found to be beautiful and artistic by accident. So if you would like yours to remain just paper as a wall hanging, that'll be an option for you. And if you would like me to laminate it, I will do so. If you're 100% virtual, you may drop your weaving mat off in my mailbox if you would like me to laminate it, and I will let you know when I've done so that you can return and pick it up. I'm not gonna be able to weave any more than this orange stripe because while there's a bit of room with the cuts I made, they're not big enough for the strips I have. So this completes my weaving mat, and it's a little bit eye-crossing and kind of mesmerizing. I am gonna tuck these rows down. I'm gonna see, nope. This looks like it might be enough room, but it won't be for one of these. If I try to stuff in one more green row, I really believe it's gonna tear. So I'm finished. I would let Mrs. Billman know if I want it laminated or not, but it doesn't need to be laminated to submit a photo to Canvas. So when you're finished, submit your photo, And I will return it to you laminated if you request, and I'll return it to my mailbox laminated if you request as a 100% virtual student. Happy weaving, leopards!